Park Church. Today is Wednesday, May the 19th, and this is your Midweek Pastor's Moment. Thanks for taking a bit of time to sit and join with me in just a little thoughts that are coming to my mind today, and a bit of a follow-up from last week. If you haven't watched last week's Midweek Moment, you can go back and watch it. But we just talked about, what are you listening to? We need to tune in to what God is saying over worldly news, over top of all of the things that physically around us are shouting or begging for our attention. We need to listen to what God is saying. Something that we equally need to be aware of in our lives is something that I really think of is like spillage or overflow. And spillage is what comes out of my mouth, what comes in my thought life, and what comes out of my heart. Because what's coming out of me tells you what's inside, right? It's just like a tube of toothpaste. You don't know what you got inside until you squeeze the tube. And then when you apply pressure, everything oozes out. And so in my personal life, when too many things are getting jammed in there, stuff seems to come out, right? You kind of leak, and what's lurking beneath, not only does it come to the surface for people to see, but it's spewed. People hear it in their ears, they see it with their eyes. And the pandemic really has been oppressing for people. It's been pressure on many different fronts, and we really see what's coming out of people. We see it on the Facebook posts that we make, and I've said that before, and I say it again because Facebook is a dangerous thing. It's great for connecting, but boy, is it a pool of complaining. And probably people that you talk to, you hear all kinds of things coming out of them, not necessarily related to the pandemic per se, but just, negative things. And Instagram, wherever you're consuming social media, you find people saying things that maybe you didn't expect. And it's because all of the pressure, the circumstance, whatever, it's pressing out that which is lurking beneath the surface. And I've caught myself doing the same thing. And so it's this catching ourselves that we're kind of talking about. This week in our study in Philippians on Sunday, we're going to talk about joy a bit. We're going to talk about that famous passage from Philippians chapter 4, do not be anxious about anything. But we don't have time to get to all of the things, and these are kind of in line with that. And so one thing that I'm learning more and more personally about myself is that I'm a words of affirmation person. And I'm thankful that there's a lot of people in my life that are close to me that provide me very genuine words of affirmation. This doesn't mean that they don't have words of criticism or rebuke or challenges, which is good when you're in relationship with people that you can accept that. And I have people that give me great encouragement in my life, not just as a pastor, but as a person. And so I'm grateful for them. And I know that what they say is genuine. It just comes out of their heart. It's not something they have to put on. It's who they are. And it's really related to Jesus's words when he said in Luke 6:45, "For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of." A heart that's full of gratitude, of acceptance and joy, that is going to spill out from a genuine heart, right? Not somebody that has to fake it. Not somebody that has to put it on and say, well, I know I need to say some nice things, so I'm going to say them. The Lord knows our heart. These are words that are just genuinely an outflow of the person's deposit within them of good things. Proverbs 4:23 in the New Living Translation says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. So you have to ask yourself, it's a personal thing, what's in there? Where is the dominant supply of my heart coming from? Listen, I'm not advocating for monasticism, right? We don't just go off and join a monastery and shut out everything else to just focus on God. That has its place, but we're talking about living in a world of corrupt people with corrupt lips, right, as the prophet said, but yet retaining a deposit in our heart of good to draw from. A deposit or a wellspring from within. We've talked about that as well, that the Spirit is the deposit within us. So unfortunately, your spillage is going to impact your life negatively if the only deposit you have in there are negative things. It's going to impact where your life is headed, and it's actually going to impact those around you. Have you ever heard your own words? Taking a moment to listen to yourself and really wished you hadn't said the things you had said. Do you ever wish that you were more encouraging or you're more uplifting? Maybe you have a good example of that around you where you're saying, boy, I really wish I could be like so-and-so who's always positive. They're always speaking positively about other people even when they're not there, right? That's the true, if somebody will speak bad about others to you, they will speak bad about you to others. That's the truth for somebody. So do you wish that your words were more uplifting? If you want to change what comes out, you're going to have to change what's inside. We read in Philippians and we preached on it. Do everything without grumbling or complaining. Do everything without grumbling or complaining. I actually had a story that week that I didn't get to share about grumbling and complaining. And the truth is that I had a friend that I used to meet with a number of years ago, fairly regularly for coffee, sort of mutual encouragement is what I thought we were meeting for, to just mutually encourage one another. Until one day we were meeting, and outside of Starbucks, my friend told me, Joe, if you keep complaining every time that we meet, I don't think that we're going to be able to have coffee anymore. And this was a huge realization for me that I had become the kind of person I didn't want to be. By what was coming out, I seemed to have nothing but criticism and complaints. And at that moment, I realized I needed to change. Rather than building up in this relationship, I was tearing down. I was tearing down or influencing my friend in a negative way. And now, I said before, I'm not perfect. I'm pressing on towards the goal. I'm moving on. I'm pressing on to become more like Christ. I'm working out these things. And so I had to be careful. And right now I'm working at contentment. And I've shared that. I want others to see that in my life as an outflow so they too can be encouraged to pursue contentment in their life with what God is doing and what God has for them. If you want to spill the right character, of course, you have to watch what you watch. You have to be careful about what you listen to. All of these things affect you, but so does who you spend your time around and who you allow to speak into your life and who you allow to have an impact. Do the people that you spend your time with, do their values line up with your values? More so, do they line up with godly values, but hopefully those are your values too. Does their lifestyle line up with yours? Do their words encourage you and build you up, or do they cause you to grumble and to stoop to their level? 1 Corinthians 5:13 says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." So we really need to be careful on who we are around. Listen, this is, again, not saying we should all get in a Christian huddle. We shouldn't just all huddle together and avoid people in the world where they're messy and they need help and they have brokenness in that. No, not at all. We can be in the world but not of the world because we're living a life of purpose. So when we find ourselves in those circles, we have direction. We are not the ones being towed along by the direction of their lives. We are steering the conversation. We're able to infuse the life of the Spirit in those situations where people have grumblings or complaints or harshness or criticism. We can be the ones that lift the conversation by what is outflowing from our lives. I want people to see in my life an example that when I'm being pressed, right? In other words, as well, when I'm being pushed on towards my purpose in God, what comes out is not a repellent to me as a person, or certainly of the gospel. It isn't complaints, it isn't vile, it isn't angry, but what I want the outflow of my heart to be is words of faith, encouragement, confidence, give people peace and hope that they could do the same for others. And so I want to tell you today, monitor your spillage. Monitor what the overflow and outflow of your life is. Guard it carefully. Don't be afraid to make a correction. Have the courage to make a change inside, to see the product of that resulted in your thought life, in what comes out of your mouth, which is the overflow of your heart. Let's be known for the right thing. Let the church be known for the right thing. You want to be known for the right things, the things that we're for. And practice makes perfect. I love the verse that says, I've hidden your words in my heart that I might not sin against you. Hiding the word of God in our hearts is not when we just make a one-time deposit, but continually putting God's word in us, not just his written word, but listening to the words of the Spirit. Those are the deposits that allow us later on to make a withdrawal. And similarly, when we're being pressed, when we're being pressured, when we're under times of testing, we don't have to worry about what may come out at those times, because we know that in these times we have been assured about the deposit by making it regularly, daily spending time with him. We have something good to offer to those around us. So that's my pastoral moment for you today. A couple quick updates. Spoke and actually saw Pastor Colin this week. He came by the office and he's on the road to recovery. He's getting stronger every day. So continue to pray for him, continue to lift him up, that we might see a miraculous recovery. He has some doctor's appointments this week, so certainly be praying about that. We hope to give you a more detailed schedule of his return and recovery, and perhaps we'll be able to do that this coming Sunday or next week. Tomorrow, don't miss out on this church-wide event. It's not just for youth or for young adults, it's for the whole family. We're hosting our first amazing race. You don't need to have seen the show to participate, but you do need to email. We've linked the email below in our e-blast as well as in this video. So if you want to participate beginning at 6 p.m. tomorrow, you need to send in an email with your family and team name. You will get your first clue promptly at 6 p.m. and then it's off to the races. Each team will individually race to various destinations around Sherwood Park. That's all I'm saying. And there will be one final destination to which the first family or individuals that arrive there will receive a prize. Run the race to receive the prize, Paul said. So it's perfect timing. So we want you to do that. And we said adults, we've heard from a few of you, couples that are going to jump in on this, singles. It doesn't matter who. We just want to involve you, get you out of the house. It's a bit of a rainy week, but during all of this, we want to encourage you on. And so here's a fun family event to involve yourself in. And there's some great prizes up for grabs. And of course, bragging rights. So be sure to email the link below. Let them know that you're getting involved, and we look forward to seeing you there. That's all for me this week. Hope you have a great night.